Hey, YouTube family, welcome back. Today is day six. Day six is one of my favorite topics, and we're going to talk about how to influence the subconscious mind. And those of you that love Neville Goddard, this is where kind of imagination creates reality. We're going to kind of get into that topic. But to keep it more simple, is how to influence the subconscious mind. Because as we're aware, is our subconscious mind, what we have to understand is it doesn't play favorites. It's not that like this person over here is wealthy because they're lucky, and you're over here being punished. Okay, this is the concept that we live by lots of times, where we think people are just lucky. People just, they were born into the right family, they have the right friends, and that is really nonsense. And maybe at some part it does play a tiny role into it, but not in a grand scheme of things. What happens is their subconscious mind, it doesn't play favorites. Okay. It just is. It is what it is. It gives you exactly what you give it. So it's as simple as this. It's almost like the law of being, the law of belief. What you believe is going to come to you. If you believe something to be true, well, it's going to be true for you in your reality. If you believe something to be false, well, that's going to be false for you in reality. And we can switch this up. If something is true for me, even though it's false, really false, but it's going to be true for me in my reality. You get me on this? Even if I believe something to be false, but it's really true, but it's going to be false in my reality. So it comes down to this too: is if I believe law of attraction works, if I believe law of assumption works, well, it's going to work. But if I believe it don't, it won't. Okay. That's how the subconscious mind works. It just gives you what you give it, what you're thinking about all day long. Okay. Our mind just runs on autopilot most of the day, and we're not even aware of it. It's just giving you what you're constantly thinking about. So now all of a sudden we're thinking to ourselves, well, what in the world am I thinking about? What in the world am I thinking about all day long? And this is research, this is stats. And I don't know how they came up with this number. Don't ask me that, but it is research. Is we have anywhere between 65,000 to 70,000 thoughts per day. 70% of those thoughts are negative. I'll say this one more time. 70% of those thoughts are negative. Wow. And on top of that, 95% of those thoughts are redundant. Okay, so 70% of our thoughts are negative out of 65,000. And 95% of that is redundant, meaning I'm thinking the same thing over and over and over and over, like the law of karma. So it really kind of makes sense because when I start paying attention to my thoughts, especially in the morning when I wake up, if I let my mind wander, isn't it funny how we'll catch ourselves where we're just kind of going down a rabbit hole of negativity and we're just thinking about negative things. We just jump from one thing to the next, one thing to the next, but it's redundant. We're thinking about the same stuff day in and day out, day in and day out. And that's actually what is producing in our 3D world. That's actually what our subconscious mind is giving us. Because if we think about it this way, if we think about it all day long, your subconscious mind just takes it as is. It takes it as fact. Because your subconscious mind thinks, well, Chad must like it because he's constantly thinking about it over and over and over. So I'm gonna give him more of that. Or I'm gonna give him similar things in his world that what he's thinking about. Okay, like even like in Thailand, I just broke my lease in Thailand with my condo. I'm still there for about 30 days. I didn't like some things, so I broke my lease early, ended my lease early. But like if I get up and I start thinking about all my motorbikes getting hit all the time, there's no parking, they're not fixing things in the condo complex. I'm constantly thinking about that. Well, your subconscious mind just takes it as is and true, so it's giving you similar things into your life. Okay, it's the same thing. It's the same thing as now. I'm kind of going deeper with this. Is if I'm thinking about, I'm making this up by the way. Okay, if I have an Uncle Tom and he's an alcoholic, if I always think of him as being an alcoholic, well, I actually keep him bound to alcohol. Okay, rather in my 3D world, rather in my imagination, I see him already cured. I see him not struggling with alcohol anymore. You get me on that? So, so what you have to understand about the subconscious mind is simple. It's really the law of belief. It's what you believe to be true is going to come to you. Period. Bottom line. Okay, if you wake up and you think bad things always happen to you, well, guess what? Bad things are always going to happen to you. If you wake up and you get ready to go outside and you get ready for work, take a shower, eat breakfast, you go outside and get in the car, and you have a flat tire, and you mumble to yourself, well, this always happens to me. Well, guess what? Your subconscious mind is going to make that true for you, and things like that is always going to happen. You you understand this because this is just human nature. This is what we do. We have to stay very we have to what I want to say. We have to really pay close attention to our thoughts and what we're thinking. And lots of times we're just thinking on autopilot. We're saying things, we're thinking things without even thinking. Okay, I'm mumbling things to myself, not thinking about what I'm mumbling. Okay, or do we catch ourselves, or maybe we have a friend, we catch our friend saying this, well, this always happens to me. Okay, I can't seem to never get ahead. And they say it with conviction, they say it with emotion, they say it with belief. And guess what? That becomes true in the reality. They always have similar things happen in their lives. So they can't escape that rat race because that's what they're constantly stating and putting out to the universe. And your subconscious mind just says, boom, I'm gonna make it happen because he must love it. Okay, that's how your subconscious mind works. I know I'm kind of hammering this into you, but that's how your subconscious mind works. That's why we want to influence our subconscious mind the the other way instead of the negative. Okay, I got enough negative things in my life. Okay, I want some more positivity over here. Okay, I want my dream house, my dream car, my dream salary. I want all that stuff to come to me, not the flat tires and all that other jazz. Okay, okay, but now, how do we influence the subconscious mind? Now, the best ways to influence our subconscious mind is when we actually get into a sleepy state. And the two ways to do this is either, even for myself, either when I get in a sleepy state, either I'm going to take a nap. So you can do this when you take a nap or you go to bed. You do both, okay? Even what you have to do is you have to really pay attention to what you're doing when you're in a sleepy state. Okay, but what you have to remember is when you're sleepy, that's when your subconscious mind takes control. Okay, your subconscious mind it's still in control, but it's more dormant during the day because our conscious mind, our thinking mind, our analytical mind is in control during the day. Our subconscious mind is still working because our heart beats. I don't have to think about moving my arms and wiggling my fingers and stuff like that. I don't have to think about to breathe. If I did, I would already passed out in this video, and you would just see me laying down here, and then you would see me wake back up. Okay, but so during the day, our conscious mind is more aware, is more in control. Our conscious mind is a gatekeeper to what's letting in things to our subconscious world. But when we get sleepy, when we get in that sleepy state, our subconscious mind gets sleepy. Our subconscious mind turns off. Our subconscious mind goes to sleep. Not our subconscious mind, our conscious mind. I'm sorry about that. Our conscious mind goes to sleep, and our subconscious mind takes over. And the greatest example, if you have kids, you know this is true because 100% if you have kids, have they ever woke you up from a nap or woke you up really early in the morning and they ask you a question and it's something that you would always say no, but since they woke you up really early, you're like, yeah, 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 oh yeah, yeah, you can do that, Liam. Oh yeah, you can do that. But a couple hours later, we actually wake up and you don't remember you saying that, then you're yelling at them or saying, why did you do this? And like, well, I woke you up and you told me I could. Now, if you have kids, you know this is true because their conscious mind is asleep at that time. So you're not thinking clearly. Our analytical or thinking mind is asleep. So you're not thinking clearly. So things that you normally would say no to, you end up saying yes to. That's really the greatest example I have. And you know this is true if you have kids. Now, this is why you have to be aware of because when our subconscious mind takes over, okay, this is that sweet point. This is that hot spot. This is kind of like sometimes they call it the drift. Okay, when you influence your subconscious mind. That's why you have to be very careful on what are you doing when you're in a sleepy state. Okay, if I get in a sleepy state, like I'm gonna take a nap or I'm gonna go to bed, am I falling asleep to the TV on? Because if I'm falling asleep with the TV on, guess what? When my subconscious mind takes over, my subconscious mind is awake. My subconscious mind never sleeps; it's always awake. And now all of a sudden, you think you're sleeping, but your subconscious mind is really listening to that movie, listening to that TV show that you're watching over and over and over and over and over. And really what happens is your life becomes that TV show. Okay. Your subconscious mind get influenced by what you're listening to and what you're watching in a sleepy state. Okay. Now you might sit there and say, well, Chad, I don't fall asleep with the TV on. That's great. That's good news. And I try not to do that. I try. I mean, I'm really good at not doing it. Sometimes during the day when I start getting sleepy, maybe after I eat dinner, or whatever, I want to watch some TV. Usually I find myself getting that sleepy state. I usually turn off the TV. I'm pretty good at it. I'm human, and I catch myself time to time, but I'm pretty good at it, turning off the TV and not letting myself fall asleep with the TV on. But I think the biggest thing nowadays that comes into play is that our phones. Okay, I'm filming off the phone here. I'll treat this as a phone, and here's our phone. These little boogers. Okay, is nowadays when people's laying in their bed and they're just playing on their phone the whole time, listening to music, watching TikTok, watching shorts, watching YouTube, watching Instagram, Facebook, whatever their favorite thing is, Snapchat, and they're doing that. They're watching until they get so sleepy, they literally turn off the phone, then they turn around back and they go to sleep in 30 seconds. Okay. So that's just as bad. So you might not be watching TV, but you're playing on your phone. And it's doing the same thing to you. Whatever you're watching and whatever you're doing in a sleepy state is influencing your subconscious mind. That's what you have to say to kind of really keep aware of. So now let's kind of switch over to the homework. The homework, how do you really influence your subconscious mind? Is I do this both when I'm in a sleepy state, when I know I'm going to take a nap, okay, or feel like taking a nap, and or when I go to bed at night. And I'm not going to be extreme with this. Some people will say, oh, go to bed 30 minutes early. I mean, if you're really serious on making this stuff work, you're going to go to bed 30 minutes early to kind of practice, okay, and get good with it. But for a majority of people, they're not going to go to bed 30 minutes early. So what I want you to do is go to bed. It's really what you're doing about 5 or 10 minutes before you go to sleep, and roughly even 5 minutes before you go to sleep. You really want to be aware of what you're thinking about. You really want to be aware of what you're saying to yourself. You want to be aware of your thoughts. Okay, if you go to bed on Sunday, you hate work, you don't want to go work on Monday. Well, what are your thoughts? What are you thinking about when you go to sleep? But that's actually influencing your subconscious mind, and that's going to come into your world. So when you get up to this point, this is why we're doing all these exercises. It's because now we're on day 6, and you've done your homework. You know your attention. You're very specific at it. You're very, very specific. You know exactly to the T what you want. So now, when you go to bed at nighttime, either nap or bed, is what I want you to do is when you lay down, is drift off, go inside your imagination. This is like Neville Goddard's imagination creates reality. When you create like a movie scene, okay, if you want your dream house, now all of a sudden when you lay back, you start thinking about your dream house. You know how big it is. You're walking there. What are you doing? You're walking around room to room. You're actually picking things up. It's early in the morning in your dream house. You're walking around sipping on your coffee. You're there actually doing it. And this is why we did all this homework. And if you did a vision board or you did scripting, what I would do is before I would go to sleep, I would actually stare at my vision board because that will help me because I'm seeing it in my 3D world. Okay, especially when we did it when you worked on your environment. This is why you're going out to the best areas of town. You're visiting your dream house. You're visiting those areas because now all of a sudden everything we're doing is coming into play. Now all of a sudden, everything we're doing is going to help you out when you sit back and you go inside your imagination and you create this little movie scene, this little couple minute movie scene. You just replay it in your mind over and over and over. If you want your dream car, you get up in the morning, you look out in your garage and you see your dream car. You're driving it to work. Okay, you're actually driving it. If it's a shifter, you're shifting it. You have the top down. You can feel it. Since I have long hair, I can feel my long hair blowing in the wind. Okay, what music am I listening to in my dream car? You're envisioning this whole scene inside your imagination. You're actually doing it. You can smell that new car smell. You get me? Same way, if you want to be a millionaire, what would your day be like if you're a millionaire? What would you be doing? What job would you be? What career would you have? What would you be doing to make money? How would you carry yourself? What type of friends would you have? What would you be doing on a day-to-day basis? What would you be your favorite coffee spot or a little spot that you would hang out with? I mean, who would be your core group of friends? What would be the topic of your discussions? All this is inside your imagination, and you're actually doing it inside your imagination. And you do this, and this is why you develop your intention. This is why we're doing these exercises, because now all the meat and potatoes we're doing is coming to the fruition here. Is when you go to bed, you go inside your imagination and you're thinking about your intention, and you create this movie scene and you're thinking about it until you drift off to sleep. This is why it's so good to do this if you're taking a nap and or when you go to bed, because you're doing it. Sometimes I do this twice a day. Sometimes I even do this in a meditation. You can even do a short 5 or 10 minute meditation. Even sometimes a meditation is even stronger, because even if I'm sitting here like in a meditative state, like if I'm sitting up, like I'm not laying down, I'm not sleepy, so I'm sitting up, I close my eyes so I can focus. Like I can really steer my thinking. I can really control my thinking. So sometimes even doing a short 5 or 10 minute meditation in the middle of the day somewhere is very, very powerful as well. But you want to get in the habit of doing this when you're in sleepy states. If I know I'm repeating myself like a broken record. I apologize, but I really want you guys to get this. Is when I'm in a sleepy state and I know I'm going to take a nap, I do the same thing. I get in this routine, and one of the things you're going to struggle with, especially when you sit back and you lay down 5 or 10 minutes before you go to bed, is it's going to be hard for you to hold your intention. Okay, this is why we talked about the TikTok syndrome the other day. Is, when people play on TikTok, they pick up their phone, they swipe, they swipe, they swipe, they swipe. Their attention span is like 2 seconds. Okay, then when they get on YouTube, they can hardly even watch a 10-minute video. They can't even make it through it. This is what you need to develop, is your attention. How long you can how long you can think about one thing for a period of time. Okay, what I mean by that is when I lay down and I'm gonna go to sleep in 10 minutes, can I think about my dream car for 10 minutes? Okay, can I think about my dream house for 10 minutes? Can I think about me being a multimillionaire for 10 minutes? Okay, even though 10 minutes sounds short when I'm saying it out loud, but when you actually lay down, you know, 30 seconds go by and you're like, holy crap, it's only been 30 seconds. Um, or you're going to notice your thoughts are just all over the place. You're thinking about your dream car, and all of a sudden, 30 seconds later, your thoughts drift off over here thinking about work. Then that's fine. What you do is you catch yourself and you bring it back to your dream car again. Then it will drift off again. Then you bring it back. And you do this night after night, every single day, until you can hold it. Until you can hold it for 10 minutes. Until you can hold it, not even 10 minutes, you can hold it until you actually drift off to sleep. See, that's that sweet spot. So when we drift off to sleep, and whatever we're thinking about right when we drift off to sleep, you're influencing your subconscious mind. That's how you influence your subconscious mind, is what you're thinking about literally 5 minutes before you go to sleep. That's how you do it, my friends. It takes some work. And now the challenge here, you know, now if you live by yourself, this might be more simple and easy. If you have a significant other, you have a boyfriend, girlfriend, you're married, this might be a little bit harder because your significant other might kind of disrupt your bedtime routine. Maybe they're talking to you Maybe they got the light on. Maybe they're reading. Maybe they're watching. Maybe they're the ones watching TV. Maybe you have a TV in a bedroom. They're the ones watching TV, and you're laying down trying to go inside your imagination, but you can hear the TV. So this might be something that you have to discuss with your significant other. Kind of have them on the same page a little bit. This is the only thing that can get rocky a little bit is when you live with somebody else and they're not really on the same page as you. That's something you have to work through. Um, but I would just communicate, what you're doing, what you want to do, and or maybe just communicate, hey, I don't want to watch TV in the bedroom anymore. If we want to watch TV, we can watch TV in the living room. Once we get sleepy, then we can, go to bed in the bedroom. But I don't want the TV on all day long. Or maybe they're not watching TV, but they're sitting laying beside you. They're playing on their phone. They're listening to shorts. They're listening to TikTok, and you can hear it. You know what I mean? And it might be something like, hey, can you put earphones on? I've done that before. It's like, hey, I don't mind you watching it, but can you at least put earphones on? You know what I mean? If you don't want to turn it off and do the same thing I'm doing, hey, that's great. But can you wear earphones? And guess what? My girlfriend, she'll wear earphones when she's listening, but she don't want to disrupt my sleep or disrupt what I'm doing. Also, which she kind of wants to respect that. So, if they really want to respect you and kind of respect your boundaries and what you're trying to accomplish in your life, they're kind of adhere to kind of your suggestions and kind of what to do. That's only just uh, what I've dealt with. That's kind of that's it's something real to kind of bring up because all of us don't live by ourselves. You know what I mean? And nowadays. But other than that, my friends, this video is kind of a little bit long-winded. Not so long-winded, but we did cover a lot of information on our subconscious mind, how to influence our subconscious mind. But do the work. And this is why you made it up to this point. Because remember what I said, from day one up to now, day six, is all this work you're doing is to help intensify your imagination, to help intensify what you want. Because now all of a sudden it's easier for you to sit back and think, sit back and imagine for 5 minutes before you go to sleep. And remember this, we all imagine, we all have this ability, okay? But, I didn't bring this up in the beginning of the video, but, but we do it in reverse. We go inside our imagination for the negative things, but we don't do it for the positive things. You have to understand, we're doing this. If you think my imagination sucks, it doesn't suck because it's working for you, but it's working for you in reverse. It's working for you in the negative. And the main example I have for that is when it's Sunday night, you don't want to go to work on Monday morning, you hate your job, you hate your boss. When you go to bed on Sunday or all the way through Sunday, you easily go inside your imagination and you have imaginary scenes arguing with your boss at work. You have imaginary scenes arriving 1 minute before you're supposed to clock in, and your boss is saying something to you negative. You know what I mean? Or you're creating these imaginal scenes of, I don't want to put up with Becky. I don't want to put up with Angie. And you go inside your imagination. So simple and easy, but it's always on the negative side. We all do this. So we all have a developed imagination, but we're using it in reverse. We're not using it for the positive. We're not using it for what we actually want, how how I want to direct my day, direct my goals. That's how we have to use it. That's why we have to be very careful on what we're really doing when we get in that sleepy state. What are we really doing right before bed? What are we really doing right before we take that nap? Okay. That's what we have to pay attention to. Okay, am I listening to soap operas on the TV? Am I listening to TV shows that people just constantly argue all the time? There's constantly issues. That's why nowadays it's hard for me to watch TV, watch a movie, is because it's all negative. It's all like there's always an issue, there's always a problem. Every single episode, every different episode, it's like a different problem, a different solution, a different problem, different problem, different problem. It's all problems in somebody's life, and that's what we're constantly watching, and listening to, and that's what ends up happening into our lives. Now, this might be far fetched for you. You might be, Chad, I don't think that way. Hey, that's fine. But remember what I said, that becomes true for your reality. Okay. Okay. We're both not wrong. Okay. You're not right and I'm wrong, or I'm right and you're wrong. Okay. We're both right, because it's just proven to you in our reality. Okay, if I believe that I can have my dream car and I believe I deserve it, well, it's going to come to me. If you believe you don't, it won't. It's the law of belief. It's that simple. Uh, I mean, bottom line, it's that simple, my friends. It just comes down to that. Okay, we're not, there's really no right and wrong because you're always right because it will be proven to you in your 3D world, and I'm always right because it will be proven to me in my 3D world. Okay, it's the same way. It's the same way going back to the New Testament. Ask, believe, and receive. You ask, you believe, you already have it, and then you receive it. So that's why we're going inside our imagination and acting as if we already have it in our 4D world, in our imagination, and you will see the fruition come in your 3D world. But other than that, my friends, if you have questions, comment below and I'll answer them. Tomorrow, we're going to do day 7. Other than that, blessings to you, and I'll see you in the next video.